Imagine your inner voice being your roommate or somebody that sat next to you on Friday night on the couch, talking to you all night long, just the same way as it does all day long in your head. Would you want it to stay there, or would you friendly ask it to leave? Well, if you would choose the second option, you clicked on the perfect video. Hello everyone, my name is Fleur. I'm so excited you're here. On my channel, I talk all about self-development, manifesting, life lessons, and just in general knowledge to help you become the best version of yourself. So first things first, what is that little voice inside of your head, and why is it so incredibly loud? Well, the big truth is that little voice inside your head is not actually you. It's a set of conditions from your past, a collection of past memories, beliefs, experiences, things that you have gathered over the years of living. It's like a muscle. You train it in a particular way, and that's how it's constantly responding inside of your head. And the most beautiful thing about it is you can reprogram it all over. So this video was actually inspired by the book that I'm reading, and it's called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, and he talks all about how you should view your inner voice as a roommate. We so often get very engaged in our thoughts, thinking that is what we are. That's who we are. We are the voice inside of our head. He says, if you become the observer of your thoughts, you will actually realize that half of the thoughts that you're thinking are not true. And they're not facts. And if you can observe your thoughts, it's actually so much easier to reprogram the things that you're saying to yourself. I can relate to this so much because I used to be very engaging with that voice, thinking that I was that voice. The things that I thought in my mind would be true, right? Like they could be factual because I was thinking them. That's who I am. But what he says is you should view it from the observer side. Like take a little step back and look at what your little inner voice is telling you all the time. If you close your eyes, stop your senses from looking outside, smelling, feeling, and just take a look at what happens inside your mind. When you quit your senses, you can hear what that little voice is saying. And you realize that actually that little voice is not true all the time. It says a lot of things that make no sense. You wouldn't say that to a friend of yours, or you wouldn't love it if a friend of yours said that to you. And once you start to observe that little inner voice inside your head, you realize that this is actually the critic. This is the overthinker. This is the one that is making excuses, because that little voice inside your head is constantly repeating all those things that is trying to keep you safe from doing things outside of your comfort zone, because it's so much easier to stay in that comfort zone. And once you hear what that little voice is saying inside of your head, you realize that this is actually holding you back. This is the one that is holding you back from doing exactly what you're supposed to do, what you want to do in life, from being connected to your intuition as well. Because the voice is so loud, it stops you from feeling what you're actually feeling inside of yourself. And the best way to break free from that inner little critic inside your head is to give it a name. Separate from it. So what I love to do is I call that inner little voice inside of my head, which is conditioned to think small, that is keeping me away from all my biggest dreams, I call her the old self. She is not me. She is not who I want to be right now, and also not the person that I envision myself to be in the future. And this has helped me so much to actually take away power from that little inner voice that was holding me back, being so critical, thinking that I had to be perfect all the time. But that's actually stopping you from doing everything that is fun in your life, everything that you want to do in life. And once I gave her that name of the old self, I actually sort of separated myself. I saw that I am not that inner little voice. I am a different person. Me, myself, my inner being is someone else as the person that is talking in my head all day long. And what happened is the moment I started to give her the name of old self was the moment I was able to recondition my mind to think differently. because this is when I started to see when I was saying negative things about myself, when I was holding myself back, and I could flip it around. I could flip the script in my head around. So give it a name. You can call her Karen, Bob, another weird name, something that you can associate that little voice inside your head with, and all of a sudden you're not that little inner voice in your head anymore, and you can start to reprogram your mind to think different things, and you can see what it says. You become the observer instead of the person that is engaging with those thoughts. When you give it a name, you separate yourself from it, but also take away its power that it has over you. You don't have to believe in what that little voice says about yourself. And this is gonna feel weird at first because you're probably so used to listening to that inner voice, hearing what it says and thinking that is you, that is who I am, that is what I think. You have no clue that there's actually a separation between you and that little inner voice. But once you start doing this and start noticing what it says and correcting that script, you start to inhabit new beliefs, new experiences, new thoughts. And that's actually the most fulfilling and happy thing that you can do for yourself, because if you start to change that little inner voice inside your head, everything around you is going to change. Because your thoughts lead to different emotions, and your different emotions lead to different thoughts. And that is going to emanate out a beautiful new frequency, new energy that is going to make you attract so much more fun things into your life, because you started to correct that little inner voice inside your head. And all of a sudden, you're doing exactly what you've always been dreaming of doing. And you're receiving the friendships, you're receiving the money, you're receiving the abundance, the people, the joy, the experiences that you so longed for. And if it's hard for you to stay connected to that separate character, to sort of see that separation between you and that little inner voice, and you not having to believe what it says and wanting to flip the script, you can also put on positive external influences, like a podcast which is making you happy, or affirmations that are affirming the things that you want to hear, or do a meditation and just sit for a little while and observe what your thoughts are saying. This is the way how you start to understand who you are. What is that little inner voice telling you all day long? It's actually so interesting to listen to yourself, to take a moment and just listen to what you're saying all day long. And then go to that feeling, what if I actually said different things to myself? I mean, look at where you are in life already now. Imagine yourself being in a place where you even talked more positively to yourself. Something that I absolutely love and have been reconditioning myself with is every single morning, instead of going on your phone or getting up immediately and starting about your day, just take a few minutes to hype yourself up. Talk yourself into this most fun, happy, exciting day. Tell yourself that this is going to be the most happy day, because if you start your thoughts off right in the morning, this will have an effect on your entire day. This will have like a ripple effect. If you have happy emotions, that's going to support happier thought. It's actually so fun once you start to integrate that routine into your morning. It just feels different. The entire day feels different. I approach people differently. I experience things differently. Things that are coming to me in my life are different now. I encourage you to try this because it's actually so worth it, and it only takes 2 minutes of your day. Just wake up and say positive affirmations to yourself instead of looking at your phone or starting about your day immediately. Just take that little time for yourself to prep yourself for a new day, for new positive experiences in your life. And something that I also love to do in order to distance myself from the old self and the new self is put sticky notes on my bathroom mirror, or wherever you're going every single day that you're going to notice them. Put them on your coffee machine. Put them somewhere where you're definitely gonna go every single day. And this is so fun because every time you see those sticky notes, you're being reminded of your new self, of your new personality that you're becoming and that old self, that inner little old self that you're going to leave behind. In this part of the video, I just want to quickly touch upon 3 big mistakes that people tend to make while changing their little inner voice inside their head. And the first one is that people think that everything that is happening inside their head, that little voice, what that voice is saying, is actually true. But it's not. It's not true. It's actually a set of conditions, old beliefs, old experiences. It's like a muscle that has been trained to think certain things. And because you're saying those things to yourself inside your head, you're actually going to repeat them more often because it's trained to think that way. But the most beautiful thing is you can decide to separate yourself from it. And you can decide to retrain, reprogram that little inner voice to become the biggest cheerleader you know. The second thing that people mistakenly try to do is fight that little inner voice. But actually fighting your inner voice is not going to be the solution in order for it to soften up. Because if you're fighting your inner voice, which is saying not very kind words to you, you're actually approaching it in the same way as it is approaching maybe you. So what you want to do is soften it, listen to it, observe it, look at it from a distance, and not engage with it. You're not that little inner voice. You don't have to believe what it says, and you don't have to approach it in the same way. If you're approaching it in the same way, it's actually only going to be amplified more because you're going to get aroused with those emotions, with anger, trying to make it stop and making you feel stressed, but that's not how it's going to actually be soothed and be more calm. The last thing I want to touch upon is that sometimes people want the little inner voice to go away completely, but that's actually not what is going to happen because that inner little voice is always going to be there, but you just want to be able to reprogram it and do not give power to the thoughts that are not supporting your new life, the person that you want to be. It's gonna be your biggest supporter once you step away from it and reprogram the way it talks to you. So I would love to challenge you to give your inner little voice a name and just observe what you're thinking all day long and don't take it too seriously. See what you're saying inside of your head all day long and just think about whether this is supporting the life that you want to live or the person that you want to be. If it's not, you're able to reprogram it, especially when you take a step away from it and notice what you're thinking and being able to flip the script, say different things to yourself, turn it around. If your inner voice says something negative about yourself and you notice it and you're like, Karen, that's not me, that's my old self, and you say, I'm actually completely capable, I'm so confident, I'm so happy and radiant and shining, this is gonna make you feel so good. Also, for anyone that wants to learn about their inner voice and how it works, how you can approach it, I would highly recommend reading the Untethered Soul from Michael Singer. This is so incredibly good. I'm very, very happy I stumbled upon this book. I want to thank you so much for being here in this video. I'm sending you so much love and I'm seeing you in the next one.